So when you do vote, we then put 5 minutes for a topic. And at the end of that 5 minutes, you'll either get the option for Roman voting. It'll either be thumbs up, want to carry on with that topic. Don't really mind either way, or thumbs down, which means we end the topic and move on to the next one. And you'll get a little noise that will happen at the end of the discussion and it will flash up on your screen. So I will stop sharing. And a couple of topics are going in there already, which is brilliant. I've put them anonymously, just so it doesn't influence voting. But what we'll do, when you've actually put a topic in there, if that is the top topic, we'll just ask you to introduce and start the discussion. So if we just spend 2 minutes just popping any topics we've got for discussion in there. So we'll go up to 7:17, and then we'll start to work through them. This is the bit where I wish I had some elevator music I could play in the background.
Oh, Simon, you should have some music to play in the background.
Oh, can I put some music on?
You should have synth waves.
Yeah, I'm just thinking I could, couldn't I?
You actually should have. Or something like, you gotta pump it up. You gotta pump it up. That would be totally crypto, wouldn't it?
At the Monday Canada meeting, I was using Simon's synthwave music.
Oh, you
in the
were,
lobby.
yeah.
I just left the screen sharing on, and it played smoothly.
Badly.
Right. Another topic as well. Okay, we've got 30 more seconds. Everyone's voting already, but that's fine. So any last topics, if you pop them on there now. I'll delete my A topic. Okay, so those that haven't voted, if you want to stick your votes in now, if you do want to change your votes, by the way, because we've had 1 or 2 added, all you need to do is click on the topic and it'll allow you to unvote. Cool, so I think everyone has had the vote. So what I will do is I'll share my screen and we will sort that into a discussion. Here we go. Right, so the top one was looking at projects and analysing patterns in charts. So dare say this will be a longer one. So what I'll do, I'll give this one 5 minutes to start with. Who was it who put this on here? You don't mind me asking.
Which one was it?
It was the charting one. So looking at projects and analysing patterns in charts.
Yeah, that was mine.
Good stuff. So do you want to introduce it and what you wanted to talk about with it, Jess?
Yeah, so I kind of want to go around the room and see what everyone's looking at. We'll pull up a chart on CoinGecko and we'll just look at a 5-minute chart, maybe a 10-minute chart, and just kind of, I know this isn't financial advice, but we'll just fantasy league, do some spot calls and spot tradings, test our ability to look for patterns on various charts. So I guess one that I'm looking on is ORAI. I guess I have screen sharing capabilities, don't I?
Yeah, you should have.
You bring that up.
Yeah, sure. Let me get to CoinGecko. Boom, boom, boom. Ori chain.
It's
Pretty,
quite a micro cap, isn't it?
yeah. So I was kind of looking at this. So I guess starting as wide as we can go, I'm saying that this is in Canadian prices, by the way. I apologize. I'm Canadian. I'm looking at 875 as the trading range from 305. So then I go down to a year. I just kind of want to share how I go about looking at some charts and positioning some entries, and maybe we can collaborate and see how everyone else does it. It's like, okay, if I buy in now, I'm willing to have a loss tolerance of down to $2. Anything after that, I'm crying and never looking at wherever exchange I bought this on. And then my first exit might be 357. And then I would try to take another exit at 461. So I guess just looking at this chart, how would you guys call an entry and an exit?
No, I wouldn't use that chart. So I
You would
wouldn't
not use
chart.
that chart? Okay, would
Just
you
a
go to
quick
trading
question,
view?
Jess.
Sure.
So you're thinking of spot trading, are you, rather than not leverage
Yeah.
or anything? Yeah.
Yeah. I want to get back into spot trading. Just maybe do like one.
So
swing
if
trade
you
a week
hit the
kind of thing.
live chart option over on the left-hand side, does that bring you into trading view or something similar?
Gecko terminal. I've never been here in my life. 15 minutes, 1 hour.
But Jesse, can I ask what your background in trading is?
My background in trading?
What's your experience?
Oh, it's been a roller coaster. My experience is executing spot trades and swing trades with a margin call in a span of like four to 6 days, I guess. I am just kind of natural at identifying patterns and just placing lucky guesses. That's kind of my experience. So I would probably put a limit order in right around here.
How
And have a
long have you
risk.
been trading, Jesse?
Well, I've stopped. 2019 to 2021 is when I did my trades. I was probably doing like 10 a week.
Specializing in crypto?
Yes, only and always crypto. I find it's just easier it's easier to predict patterns. I don't know, this is just me. So the pattern I see here is a change in the red bars switching to green. So I might say so we're looking at a 1 day candle. I would say a green candle this is just a guess, and feel free, the next person could pick a project and we just kind of guess and hypothesize on what's going to happen. But I think then the 17th might be a green candle, and I don't know how big these are. 10%.
What took you to Ori chain, Jess? What interests you about the project?
Ooh. Where's the information? I forget this. I forget where I found this, to be completely honest with you. It's just kind of on my watch list and something's tickling my funny bone about it. Specifically the volume. People are still like, this is mad volume, like, and it's still going down. So it looks like people are accumulating this. Ori chain IO. Oh, it's an oracle. It's an AI. That's why I liked
oracle.
it. It was an AI oracle.
It's interesting actually, because when you talk about some of the projects from an investment perspective, I remember reading once that the projects that have potential are the ones that do something that a bigger player does, just on a smaller scale. So they only need to capture. So say you've got Chainlink, for example. Chainlink's got a huge share of the market. Something like I don't know, Charlie 3 or Ori chain or whatever, which is another oracle on a different chain, only need to capture a small market share in order to become a player in it. I think the danger is with oracles. I mean, Chainlink is just steamrolled everything. But no, it's interesting.
I've been told from a fairly reliable source that it is cheaper to build your own Oracle than to use the chain link APIs.
Yeah,
Wow.
definitely not the cheapest. I wouldn't have said.
So if because they had such market share, I suppose you have this centralization and capitalization thing going on again. So I think competitors could actually do really well in Oracles for that reason.
What
Are we voting on this?
We've just had the Roman votes come up, so we've got 2 no preference, 3 extend topics. So what I'll do, I'll give it another. We'll give it another 4 minutes, and just see what other people have got thoughts on.
I'll just jump in there on that one because I've opened up the chart here on TradingView because I just find I can read TradingView an awful lot better. I have the 1 hour chart. You were looking at the daily chart. Now I know absolutely nothing at all about this token. Okay. And I wouldn't call myself a trader or an experienced trader. However, guessing that the next green candle is going to be green, I don't think is a really great idea because we have an RSI indicator here that's shooting downwards at the moment on the daily. And if you're looking for a stronger pattern as such, there's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up candles, 2 down candles. If you're looking for a pattern, there was a larger amount of down candles, maybe 7 of them there, 5 up. You'd probably have another 7 down, and I could see that sort of pattern maybe. But I'd look at indicators to confirm or to throw out your hypothesis that maybe it's going to be a green candle. So come up with a hypothesis, yeah, but then verify it. But on verification, if you keep flicking through indicators, you are going to find something that's going to verify that for you. So you have to kind of find a couple of indicators that you stick with, and you kind of stick with them all the time, because as soon as you change indicators that start telling you something else, you've thrown your game plan out of the window.
You sure you're not a trader, Paul?
No, I'm not a trader, but I have
You talk sense. Yeah.
a lot of time in this game. I've spent a lot of time watching other traders. I watch trading videos. I play with TradingView. I do try find good entries and good exits. And so I just am brave enough to be a trader. Look, every time I buy, the price goes down. That's just, it doesn't matter what the indicators say. When I buy, everybody sell. When I sell, everybody buy. That's just the way it rolls. So I'll just stop sharing there and let somebody else hop in. Maybe they have a chart they'd like to look at, or like one of us to pull up.
I can share my screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you got capability, or do you need me to give you co-host, Chris?
I don't know. Can you see my screen now?
Good.
Yeah, we can see it. Yeah.
Yeah. This is TradingView. This is the RI chain. So I don't understand your trading plan. So that Paul has touched on that. Do you use indicators? What setups you're looking for? Because describing it as it looks, or you think it doesn't work in trading. So it needs to be more defined. You can apply a Fibonacci examination on that from the low to high, and you see it's retraced down to a 0.78. It's pushed through that, so there's a total lack of support. You see a 0.618 is normally a bounce shot through that, so it's gone to an extreme, which is good for potential entering. The next thing I would look at is look at multi-time framing to define your risk. So I don't know what type of trading you've been doing. Like, have you been like in it for seconds, an hour? Are you a scalper? Or are you a swing trader?
No, I usually like to hold positions for like a week.
A week. Okay, so a bit of momentum trading. A week. Yeah, gives it room to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at the weekly, And the indicators, as Paul has touched on, is I've got relative strength, stochastics, and MACD, which is fairly lagging indicator, but it's moving average, convergence, divergence. A lot of traders in the markets use that moving averages, crossovers as a time to confirm entries, but it is more lagging. Weekly, what you should be looking for across price and the indicators is corroboration. So, I mean, the MACD is still potentially pointing down, whereas stochastics on the weekly, we have a crossover, and the price, that's pointing down, so there's a contradiction there. On the monthly, doesn't really tell me much because there's not enough liquidity on this particular pair. And on the daily, that looks a positive trade. We have crossover on the MACD. We have corroboration on stochastics. And
This
so
does look risky.
If I was looking at that, I would have traded on the 9th of May. That would have been a setup for me. That would have ticked RSI, tick, bottoming, crossover, stochastics. And as you can see, the MACD is more lagging, but there's a slight convergence there. So when it crossed over, that was a confirmation. So the trade would have been the 9th of May. So my recommendation is be patient, learn how to scan across the different opportunities, cryptos. I do FX. I can scan 20 to 30 in 15 minutes in my setups. And then that's what we talk about, your setup, your trade plan and strategy. And then you got to define your risk in terms of lot size and how much. But yeah, that was the opportunity. It's now gone up and hit resistance and losing momentum. So the next, you then look for support. Is that's a ceiling there. So 3.704 would be a target, and then support is down in this region here. They're at 1.735, 2.2. You can see the 2.2 worked on that 8th, 9th of May. So look for those corroborations, just not it looks good, or I think. You have to have a defined strategy, otherwise you will get burnt. So I personally wouldn't be interested in that. It's getting toppy on stochastics, and RSI is turning down, so it's in no man's land. If it was up, here we go. There's overbought on RSI, peak on price, stochastic peaked out, and MACD, well, that was a bit iffy. Didn't confirm until there. So some people actually wait till confirmation on the MAC, which would have been in that region there. Okay, so corroboration, and learn how to set up a system where you can scan for opportunity rather than homing in on one. If you're trading, investing is a different methodology.
Good stuff. Thanks for that, Chris. Really, really interesting. Everyone, we've got 1 vote to say extend topic, 2 no preference. If you've not done the thumbs up or thumbs down voting it, if you do it now, cool. So it looks like we're in the topic. Good stuff. Really interesting though. So the next one we've got, moving on, is will the USA default, and will their decision on the ceiling impact crypto? So we'll stick that for 5 minutes as well. Whose discussion point was that?
I put that question in. So obviously there's a lot of talk in the news at the moment that the US are having some financial pressures and that they could default on their loans because they've reached their debt ceiling. So there seems to be a bit of an argy-bargy going on between the two different parties over there of how they should move forward and how they should increase the debt ceiling. Some people are saying, one of the parties is saying, look, just increase it with no conditions attached. And another party is saying, well, you have to have conditions attached, and here's the conditions that we want. And they haven't been able to come up with a decision. So will they vote? Will they default? Is the first question that I have. And either way, no matter what their decision is, will that decision have an impact on crypto?
Thoughts?
I feel like it's gonna have a huge impact on crypto. It seems like a lot of the hype around crypto and a lot of the projects kind of started in the States. Could be wrong there. I'm not too sure.
I think there's sorry, go on, Chris.
I wouldn't say crypto is totally divorced from the real world. It's about money in people's pockets. Do they have the money in their pockets to afford risk, either in the traditional markets or even in more speculative, volatile markets like crypto? So if there's a major default, it will affect the general markets, which will have a knock-on effect to perceived risk and what people can afford and what they're willing to risk. So they're not totally divorced.
Has the States ever defaulted before?
They nearly, I think in 76, when they went, they ditched the gold standard to prop themselves up. Yeah, so they could print money.
Yeah, except for everyone was redeeming their US dollars for gold, weren't they? And the US, I think, were afraid of running out of gold. So yeah, remove the gold standard.
All the markets were tied to the value of gold, and it wasn't working, so they divorced it, departed, and then you were able to print as much as they needed. And because the US dollar is the dominant currency, I mean, so much is tied to it right around the world in so many markets, they more or less control all that. So I can't see them, if they default, it's just totally major. And it's this June coming up, early June. It's too big a risk for them, so they'll just print more money. They can do that. They can bail themselves out.
But can they print money and increase interest rates at the same time? Is that counterproductive?
It will put interest rates back up, yeah. Yeah, my understanding. But
I think Fletch was trying to jump in there with a comment. Fletch, did you were saying something?
Oh, I was just thinking of what the chap, sorry, I didn't catch the name, was saying about how it's not divorced, crypto is not divorced, completely divorced, but I think that there's a gap widening, it's only recent, for the last 6 months or so, between the traditional markets and crypto, because I think people are starting to really see that the US are in trouble, and there are some major markets that are using, but are not using the US dollar anymore. They're going to other currencies. It escapes my mind at the moment which one I was looking at. So I think the US dominance is weakening, and people still have money. They just want to put it somewhere safe, and I think they are migrating over to Bitcoin, especially. So yeah, that was just my point of view. Sorry if that sounded a little bit muddled. It's a long day at work.
it's a very strong narrative at the moment, this whole dollar business, but I just don't see it happening. Not in the near term. I would agree it's losing dominance now. The USA, China are on the rise, and probably will be the major power in terms of currency. And she who controls energy and energy sources in particular will dominate in the future. So I'm not sure where China is on that, but I know they're buying up everything and anything to enable that. It's an extra strong narrative because of Putin's war as well. And there's an alignment with Russia and China, unfortunately, at the moment. So I don't know how much of it is narrative and actual facts. So I can't see it happening personally.
Nice. Got,
There's the BRICS nations, isn't there? They're already, there's agreement between those nations to pay for goods and services in their own currencies to move away from the dollar. So there's a lot more happening on the worldwide scale, and I agree with Chris that I don't see there's any other alternative other than for them to turn the money printer on. They can't default. They're already skating on thin ice, and if they were to allow that to happen, that could be the final nail in the coffin for the US, I think.
interesting, Sam. I mean, thanks for dropping that in, Alex. It's I think you've got the link in the chat, but yeah, when you start looking at the charts and how the production of money, how everything has kind of skyrocketed in the last few years, it is quite scary. And you can make charts say anything, but I think when you look at some of the stuff that's going on at the moment, you look at the media, you listen to some of the conversations, and I think Janet Yellen's been quite vocal as well. But yeah, I definitely agree. The States does look like it's on shaky ground at the moment. The interesting thing will be though, what happens with BRICS and whether that does actually become a challenger.
I'm not convinced BRICS will become a challenger. For ages, I was convinced. And I was like, okay, and now's their time. Now is their time if they want to do something while this narrative is going around. But then when you look at the bigger picture, it's kind of like, well, hold on. China sees themselves as such a powerhouse. There's no way in the world that they're going to enter into an agreement where they lose power or share power with a Commonwealth, with other countries, like we did with the euro. We give up our rights of printing our own money, and how, China's not going to do that. Not a hope. They might try and reel everybody into using their currency, yeah, but they're definitely not going to give up their currency. You have a vote on that?
Yeah, so got everyone with no preference. What we will do then, we'll move on, conscious of time, but yeah, really interesting discussion, and we'll have to wait and see, I guess, won't we?
It indicates that there's a very strong likelihood of a recession on the horizon, I'd say within the next year or two. If they do print more money, the debts are going to be just mind-blowing, almost incomprehensible. And I think it's not going to happen overnight, but there will be a slow fall away into the world recession, probably lasting 10 to 15 years.
A depression, you mean?
Depression, then, yeah.
So
we could be looking at one more top in the markets, and then a gradual decline, long decline.
Just I'll stick this in the chat as well, but this
Yeah, I've seen this. Yeah.
Always makes me smile. Yeah. Right. Really good discussion. Let's just pop that in the chat and move on. So the next one we've got is, will AI integrate with crypto? So who was it who popped that in, and would you like to introduce it?
I was he. It was in the forefront of my mind, so I just putting it out there as a question to everyone, what their opinion is. There's so much talk about AI. It's a total game changer. I know Bloomberg have developed their own AI for analyzing the markets. I know specifically certain hedge fund managers who are examining stocks using ChatGPT and refining their holding techniques. So it's a total game changer. So AI is going to be the next flavor as opposed to crypto.
It's interesting with crypto because anything that seems to have AI in the title or the ticker for it seems to be doing really well. It's dropped off a bit more recently, but we had a conversation about this a few meetups ago, didn't we? Where we were talking about potential for trading strategies and taking the emotion out using AI for trading bots and the like.
That's already there to some extent.
Yeah.
So I was reading about blockchain being used to verify the data that AI is being trained on. So it was more a case of blockchain helping AI than AI helping blockchain.
Interesting.
Because I still can't see I can't see the match. Yeah, okay, you could build trading bots, it build improved stuff like that where human error can happen, or you have emotion and AI can help cut all of that out. Okay, I can see that, that's fine, but that's really just on the trading side. But in terms of the technology side and how can the two of them meet and what can they bring, I just can't find that in my head yet.
I do think there's a lot of stuff that you will get with AI, and I mean we've personally had a play around with stuff using ChatGPT for things like checking bugs in smart contracts. Thanks, Jess. We'll see you soon. Yeah, so checking things like smart contracts, even writing smart contracts for certain simple applications. So you've got that. You've then got things like AI art, so things like NFT generation and stuff like that. So I suppose you can apply these to any other industry, I guess. But I think the smart contracts and what that means to developers is probably the most interesting thing for me, because it automates a lot of the stuff that you'd have someone sitting there laboriously going through code in order to do.
Could be another tool to screen and filter before feeding into smart contracts and processes on blockchain. Yeah, it's early days, isn't it? It's down to the creative minds and developers and how to, like, it's going to happen in a lot of industry, how it's going to be applied. But
does anybody have any of the AI tokens, and what is their selling point? What's the utility of the AI that why is it tokenized?
Without knowing anything, I'd say it's hype. Healthy cynicism would say to me it's total hype at the moment. Please correct me for speaking out of.
I don't actually have any, but it's coming from like a crypto art side and not really knowing that much about tokens themselves. One of them that I've seen, the perceived value of it, I guess, comes from the fact that the artist involved that did it used AI or these tools to create all of it without any coding knowledge, and then he renounced the contract and things like that. So as far as a potential rug and scam and all this kind of stuff that comes with various individually made tokens, I'd say he was really transparent about the whole process. So maybe that's the value, at least in the way the market seems at the moment, in terms of like people's confidence with those kinds of things. Just being completely transparent about the whole process might be the value in it, I guess.
Just
I don't have any.
I was going to come to you. I'm so sorry. That is such an annoying noise. I'll turn the noise off for the time because that is doing my head in. Right. I'll make it a cuckoo clock. That's not going to be so bad. No, I was going to come to you anyway, Alex, and just ask if you'd had any experience of using things like Midjourney or Leonardo or Stable Diffusion or anything like that for for your art?
I haven't actually, but I've got a lot of friends that and fellow artists that have. It had a sort of massive impact on, I'd say maybe the start of this year, when all the tools came out, and we started seeing like a flurry of artwork, and I think it's mostly people testing it.
Yeah.
There are obviously people that are using these prompts and minting NFTs and things like that. I'm not really sure how successful they are in terms of like the actual financial side of it, whether people are making a living off of those yet. But my general view of it is I'm not that interested, but I also think fair enough if other people want to use them. It's just another tool.
Yeah, I mean that comes on to another thing I was going to ask you about. Sorry, I'm not picking on you for any reason. It's more for your background. But what's the general perception of AI art in the community that you're, or communities that you're part of?
I'd say very divisive. But then crypto art, Twitter especially, is daily melodrama, I think. So you have to take that with a pinch of salt. There's legitimate concerns that AI tools scalp the internet for images, and they're used without permission. I think that's the main gripe that I have with it. But as far as like people claiming that it's a cheat or something like that, it's the same story with other digital tools, and that's a better noise. Things like photography, people lamented the creation of photography because it would ruin art, and it obviously didn't. So it's quite divisive. People think that it's like a brand new thing, as said before, like it's going to be the new thing where crypto used to be the novelty. I think AI has become that now. I don't know. It remains to be seen. It's too early to see how it will have an impact on art, I think.
Yeah, I guess my daughter's quite heavily involved in art. She's an art designer for a game studio, and a lot of her community are quite negative about it, but saying that it's, I think as you said, plagiarizing things. But I suppose the other way of looking at it is it might be scalping the internet. It might be looking at all different types of influences. But if I were to look at some of the art that my daughter has done as an example, you can see a lot of other artist influences that have impacted how her art is. And in some respects, that's the same sort of thing, except computers doing it rather than the human mind doing it.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. It's more of the same. It's just a lot quicker.
Yeah.
And in that sense, it's not really that different from a lot of technologies that we've had to just deal with in the last maybe 20, 30 years. We're doing the same things as far as an art point of view goes. We're doing the same things. It's just computers make them and digital tools make them a lot faster. That doesn't necessarily mean they're bad. It just means that trends will maybe change quicker. And that kind of combined with the way social media works generally, like the attention economy, all that kind of stuff, like that was why I decided just not to stress about it. I think it'll become this thing that it's blown out of proportion because everyone's threatened by it, and then it will just get integrated into our lives. Yeah,
I like that broad brush view. It's another tool in the box, and we don't know where it's going to end up, but it's something to embrace.
Yes, absolutely.
It is a disruptor. It will cost certain artists or people possibly living, or it will impact them deeply, but you can't stop it. It's out there now, so embrace it and use it. I think it should enhance people's perceptions and ability to appreciate art and creativity in different industries. I sent off 8 photos to Vanna Portraits, and it just blew me away, the quality of what I got back. And I was a tester, it was free. I could share some with you, but I don't want to bore you because it's self-portraits, but they're absolutely just mind-blowing, the quality. It's phenomenal.
Is that just
The picture behind Simon?
Sorry, go.
The pictures behind Simon and myself are AI generated. So I have I was trying to make an ABC for a block of crypto, whatever way I move. And that's kind of, so you're limited to your vocabulary and you're limited to your prompt ability. But I think Simon got very much what he wanted with his one.
Yeah, I can't quite see it. A little rat holding a Bitcoin. But the other thing you can do with it, and again, similar to Chris, I'm not going to share it. It's a bit cringe anyway. But the other thing I found with things like Midjourney is you can. I uploaded a picture of myself and was using various different prompts to look like a zombie or look like a superhero, or you come with really silly things. And it'll actually generate that based off of your picture. So you can do really interesting stuff with it, and yeah, it's I suppose it's your imagination is the only thing that limits it. But it'd be interesting to see, because I know there's a new version of Midjourney that's come out, which is even better, and there are more and more tools coming onto the market. And like you said, Chris, Vanna Portraits and some of them like that really come up with some good stuff. Has anyone used any video AI stuff yet?
No.
So there's an audio built into the video editor that I work with. There's an AI audio thing in it. And it'll cut out all the ums and ahs and stuff like that, but it'll also cut the video and all in the right place and stitch it back together for you. Which does save you quite a lot of time. Now, I wasn't one that went through my videos that much that I was actually cutting out my ums and ahs. So now they're cut out just for the crack because I can with the press of a button.
I liked your ums, particularly your ahs.
Brilliant. Well, we've got time for one more discussion, and it is a good one, which is, has anyone had an airdrop, and are there any more that you're aware of? I think that was probably my one that I put on there. I have had previous airdrops, so going right the way back to things like Uniswap and a couple of other smaller ones, things like Arbitrum and stuff like that as well. Has anyone else got any experience of airdrops? And we will come to Paula before we do finish. We'll talk about that.
I was hoping Victor or Fletch or Henry would
Yeah,
pop in here because we haven't heard much from them at all.
I haven't gone for any airdrops, but I did get involved in some of the ICOs in 2021. And, you know, we got a few airdrops from that as well, which I wasn't expecting. Most of them pretty much went to zero, but, you know, I'm interested in the gaming cryptos, and also the launch platforms. That was a big deal in 2021, but I haven't really touched them since. I'm not really a fan of airdrops, to be honest, at this stage. So I know that they're all over the place with Arbitrum and all that, but I haven't really sort of got back into it. I know, Paula, you had a video today about the BRC20 airdrops coming up as well, but I'm probably not going to do that one either. So be interested to hear if anybody else is looking at any.
I haven't, I don't know too much about it, but my question would be, why? Why do they give airdrops? Is it to float the price up?
To distribute the token.
Yeah, there's a mixture of reasons.
Valuation?
It's got to do with decentralization and how decentralized the token is. So let's say they get an investor and they give the investor 10% of their token, then they'll do an airdrop of 40% to people that have been using and testing the product. So the token is more distributed and decentralized than somebody that gave 50% to a VC and kept 50% of the team. So it's a method for distributing the token in a more fair and decentralized way.
Sorry, go on, Victor.
Yeah, I was kind of listening here. So I participated of some actions, and I was willing to get its airdrops, but what mainly happened, it's so not organized and nothing works. So I said, okay, not wasting my time with that. And normally I'm paying more attention to projects that I like, or to projects that are in a birth stage, because me as a person, I look for a good user experience. So when I see these airdrops with a lot of states and conditions, but seem that they're not good, not good organized, so I'm keeping distance and paying attention with projects that I like, or that is something interesting, or that I know someone from the team that is I trust in the person. I need to see something that is interesting in the product, so I will be in touch with it. Not just like, okay, maybe I will get some bugs there. No, not wasting my time.
And you've got a lot of people that are airdrop farmers that will literally go in and every single project just do the minimum to get what they see as a perceived airdrop. A lot of the stuff that I've seen, it's based around, I think, as you've said, testing, being part of a community, feeding back. So it's almost like an incentive for them to try and get it right. And I think those ones have been generally quite good. I mean, just going to Arbitrum and Uniswap as an example, the Uniswap one was very much about people having interacted with Uniswap, which is a decentralized exchange, having liquidity being provided for people trading and things like that. And Arbitrum, a similar sort of thing. It was generally bridging stuff onto Arbitrum to actually use the network, test it, feedback, use some of the apps on it, and generally to promote the community and get more people involved in Arbitrum. So I think there are various reasons for it, but the difficulty you also get with that is a lot of the newer projects know that if they do something that potentially will have the word airdrop in it, all of a sudden they'll get loads of users onto that platform. So you can see that being manipulated as well. And you also get big ones like Sui, which didn't actually do an airdrop. And there was quite an uproar about that because a lot of the community had done a lot of the tasks expecting to receive an airdrop, and they didn't actually do one. Any other
I've been following for those, that didn't see, because I did drop a video on it. I've been following the BRC20 tokens, the ordinals and the inscriptions and stamps and all that's going on Bitcoin. And I've been trying to gather a few anyway. So Alex Labs, which is on Stacks, which is a layer 2 to Bitcoin, are setting up a DEX for BRC20 tokens, and they're doing an airdrop if you supply liquidity to the DEX. So I've taken part in that, but I was involved in Alex beforehand, so I wasn't setting up a whole new wallet. I'd already been staking on Alex. I already had my Stacks wallet. I'm already fully involved with BRC20s and the BRC20 community on Twitter. So it was just a natural progression for me to go into it. But what I was surprised with, I'd done a how-to video on it, and do you know what, when I watched the video back, and my mouth is out of sync and all, because I didn't really edit it properly or anything. I just banged it out because it's 48 hours to act on this. And it's been my second highest ranking video. Like, I've got 2,000 views in the last 24 hours. So people are actually hungry for airdrops. Because I usually do how-tos on like what's MetaMask or what is a bridge, or, you know, more educational type stuff. Yeah, I do use the catchy titles and all that sort of shit. But they're more educational videos. Whereas this one was, you've only got 24 hours to act here, folks, big airdrop, blah. And yeah, my highest number of views.
Typical marketing ploy. Do not miss this chance. You've only got 48 hours.
That's kind of what I said, yeah.
Yeah, and provide liquidity. Stick your hand in your pocket. So it's pushing up valuations.
But then on saying that video that I made won't get any views after tomorrow because the deadline will have passed. Whereas everything else that I've made, it only has 200 and 300 views.
I'm not talking about what you're doing. I'm talking about the principle of an airdrop in itself. It's about pushing up valuations. Nobody wants to buy.
Yeah, it does.
See what I
It
mean?
does a little bit. And then when everybody gets the airdrop, are they just going to dump them?
Yeah. That invariably does happen. I mean, I think with Arbitrum at one point it was trading at about $12 and it's settled on about $1.40, I think. And I think the fair valuation for it was about $3.50. So you do see it when it first comes out, it'll yo-yo.
Yeah.
But it's settled, I think it's settled at around $1.20 at the moment with the market having dipped a little bit. But I guess the other benefit of it is it gets interest in the market, pushes a bit of liquidity around as well. But yeah, I think as you say, Chris, it definitely does have a couple of either intended or unintended consequences.
But what I'm hoping to get, and I don't know what the likelihood of me getting it is, but there's a few tokens in this particular airdrop. There's a few BRC20 tokens. And some of these BRC20 tokens are called pizza because they were minted on the Satoshis that were used to buy the pizza back, when was it, 12 years ago from Monday, I think.
Yeah.
And
Laszlo.
so they're minted on historic Satoshis. And if I could get my hands on one of them, I'd be absolute. I don't know. I never got into the NFTs, the Bored Apes, none of this. I've got a punk. I never got into that. These actually aren't even pictures. These are literally a bit of text inscribed onto that Satoshi. But it's the historical reference of that Satoshi, and that there's so few of those Satoshis out there that if I got one of them, it would be stick it in the bag for 50 years and it'd be nice to pass on to my kids then, type thing.
Yeah.
Takes to keep that long though.
Yeah, I can imagine you'll do that. Yeah.
That's what I'd love to get out of it, but I'm not sure I will get one of them. It depends. I don't know. I'm not really too sure what I'll get out of this, but sure. Fingers crossed for me, peeps.
Good stuff. Sorry, go on, Alex.
I was just saying good luck with that. And when you said about CryptoPunks, I had the opportunity to maybe get one or two punks when they were super cheap, and I bottled it because I had like 1 ETH to play with back in 2020, and I thought I can't spend that all on one picture. I need to collect a few other bits here and there, and needed it for minting, and then obviously they shot straight up.
Hindsight.
We had someone else who didn't buy into Bored Apes for a similar reason. Yeah, I remember having a conversation about that. But there you go. You live and learn.
It's easy to regret, but also at the same time, I'm glad the only art that I've bought, I've wanted for that art as well, or as you said, Paul, the historical significance of it. So not any kind of advice, but I only collect things that I know I actually want anyway. So if they drop in value, it's not a big loss.
Value is perceived. It's in the eye of the beholder, like beauty, I say.
Okay, well we will wrap it up there because we're just coming up to 8:10. But really good chat tonight, guys. Really interesting, some really I think quite controversial topics as well. And if you want a copy of the chat with all the links in, if you right click on the 3 dots in the chat window and click save chat. If you are not a member of our Telegram community, I will re-stick the links in there for all of the different block of crypto bits and pieces. So that is going in there now. Yeah, feel free to carry the conversation on in Telegram or Discord. Other than that,
there is just one other thing, Simon, the replay page.
Yes, replay page. So as I said at the start, the video is recorded. We will be using some of this video for shorts and a couple of bits on YouTube. So I have put the YouTube channel link in the chat as well. So be sure to subscribe to that. But we have got a replay page, and you'll be able to go back in time and see all of the meetups that we've had. So if there are any that you have a particular topic, we've had a speaker in, anything like that, you'll be able to pick them up on the replays page. Good reminder, Paula.
Great
Stuff.
idea. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. But thank you very much for your input, everyone, and good to have both Fletch and Alex on board as well, and Victor. And we will see you all either next week for the Canadian or Ireland meetup, or in 2 weeks' time for the next UK one. Thanks, guys.
Good stuff. Bye now. Thanks
you so much.
everybody.
Nice to meet you all.
Bye. Bye.
Bye bye. See you all. See you, Fletch.
Thanks, Fletch.
See you, Alex. See you, Chris.
Bye,
See you,
Victor.
John.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye now. See you,
See you,
Victor.
Paula. See you, Simon. See you,
Cheers.
Fletch.
Bye.
Victor. Night, Jumbo.
Good night, Mary Ellen. He says stop the recording there, Simon.
Yeah.